What's up, everybody? Jem and Terry here, back for Keeping It Real. This week we're going to talk about some of the cosmic ambitions of superhero movies that are coming up. Let's start with something that apparently is not happening anytime soon now. Inhumans, Marvel's Inhumans, just last week after we did the
It
release
is
date.
happening, just on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
True, that is true. It was supposed to come out July of 2019, and now Disney has removed it from their release schedule. Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios president.
Yeah, he gave us a heads up about this
He did.
a little while ago. He said, you know, due to just when Indiana Jones 5 was coming out, the release date was probably going to be switched up because it was coming out a week after.
Yeah,
I
and
believe.
it would have, you know, essentially cannibalized that audience.
There's been
a bit.
speculation for a while too that Inhumans just sort of didn't fit in the Phase 3 slate.
Yeah.
Like we have this big build up to Infinity War, and then Inhumans essentially would have been like the Ant-Man at the end of what Ant-Man was at the end of Phase 2.
Well, I guess so. I mean, they're definitely, you know, it's a cosmic. It's got cosmic elements, but Birth Movies Death had speculated based on their sources that it was actually more kind of being put out to pasture because of Kevin Feige finally in the last year getting out from under the thumb of Ike Perlmutter, who runs Marvel, and there's no love lost between them. And now Feige is pretty much just answers to the Disney bigwig. And that, you know, Perlmutter wanted Inhumans because it was like their answer to X-Men. And you know, that Feige wasn't as kind of nuts about it. And, you know, we didn't ever seem to really get any sort of firm news on Inhumans except that release date. You know?
Right, and it has been this ongoing question. Like, it's very clear that Marvel TV and Marvel movies are doing different things, and the fact that Inhumans are a huge part, and have been a huge part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for the past 2 seasons, would that movie just ignore that entirely and focus on Black Bolt and all those other characters, or would it bring, like, Daisy Johnson from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. into the movie, which seems really unlikely as much as I love
because it's also
Chloe
a movie that would be, you know, 3 years out, and would Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. even still be on the air by then? Like, we don't know.
As someone who loves Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., hopefully, but, you know, I know, you know, we'll see. But, yeah, I mean, I wasn't too surprised at that news.
Are you disappointed, though? Do you think basically trying to do Marvel's own version of the X-Men, is that something, maybe is that what they should do for Phase 4, or do you want to see it just kicked to the curb?
I mean, I got the sense that we'll still get it at some point, but I do hope that whatever happens with that, it's at a point where the people behind the MCU are working a little bit more cohesively. Because again, like Inhumans, with the name Inhumans, have been a part of the TV series, and I think it would be the biggest disconnect to date to have the movie completely ignore that. I hope that if and when that movie does get made, even if it's just an offhand remark, that can be a cosmic show or movie, but I hope that there is some reference to what's happened in other parts of the MCU.
Speaking of other parts of the MCU, thank you for the segue.
You're welcome.
Longtime listeners and viewers know that I do love me the segues.
You love your segues.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, we found out this week via set photos that Nathan Fillion, who
has a new cameo.
He's in the first one. He was the big prisoner.
Yes, the big blue CGI guy at the kiln.
He's going to be Simon Williams, who in the Marvel comics is Wonder Man. But in this version, he is no longer like a stuntman. He is an actor, and he plays Tony Stark in a movie that's basically Steve Jobs. Like, you know, it's black and white photo, and it's called Tony
so
Stark.
basically the set photo revealed that there are these posters at a movie theater that's the Simon Williams Film Festival, and it's Nathan Fillion on all these posters as Simon Williams. So I don't think that we're actually going to physically see him. I think that it's truly just like a little Easter egg for people who know the relationship between Nathan Fillion and James Gunn, sort of like when he was Monstrous Inmate in Guardians 1. But it is really fun, and also it did raise this question, like, this is supposed to be set on Earth, it looks like. And if Simon Williams is playing Tony Stark as an adult, is it like present day Earth, and what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean if you're essentially in 21st century Earth? Because we saw, little Star-Lord as a kid, Peter Quill, in what was it, the 80s or 90s or something, when he got, it was the 80s, when he got kidnapped, alien napped.
That's the only time we ever saw Earth.
Yeah.
So I've been curious to see, if the Guardians franchise and the more cosmic sides of the MCU will connect back to what is happening with the Avengers, because it's really the only movie that's so removed at that point, especially since we know Civil War is bringing so many characters together and sort of
including
launching
Peter
off.
Quill.
Yeah. No, not.
I mean, Infinity War.
Infinity War is bringing Peter Quill in. That's something that we've learned. So how will
War is going on at
I was like, wait, where's Peter Quill in Civil War? How did I miss that?
That was not a spoiler. That was a misstatement.
But will Guardians 2 intersect with the MCU Phase 3 now, or will the first time Peter Quill meets these characters be in Infinity War?
Right. Well, again though, Infinity War taking the heroes even more into a cosmic realm. So we've got Inhumans that may or may not happen, but at least we're getting some of that on the small screen. We have Guardians. And then Infinity War with Thanos, a 2-part movie, by the way.
And Captain Marvel.
And
depending
Captain
on
Marvel.
what they do with her, she could be in that cosmic realm.
Very much so, yeah. I mean, so it'll be interesting to see sort of how cosmic will things get after Infinity War. Will they, is space the future for superhero movies?
I'm also curious if, they're building up to this big push to outer space because that's where we know Thanos is, but hopefully 2 Infinity War movies, I'm assuming they'll defeat Thanos in some capacity by the end of the second one, hopefully. After that, where do they go from there?
Yeah.
Does everyone just sort of scatter? Do you bring the Avengers back down to Earth?
Be interesting,
Or
do you do like an Avengers disassembled kind of thing? Joshua has some theories on that we can talk about next week. But, the Thor movies also have a science fiction element. I mean,
fantasy,
Asgard is basically in space. You kind of you see it like that, So.
And isn't there rumors of like a space road trip?
Well, yeah, Thor Ragnarok is going to be like a cosmic road trip. They
Yeah.
said, and that one rumor is that it's essentially going to poach the idea of Planet Hulk and be like a gladiator planet. We don't know if that's true.
This is not really news, but the Russo brothers, who directed Civil War and are directing Infinity War, posted a really funny video of Chris Hemsworth where he sort of responded to not being invited, Thor and the Hulk not being invited to Civil War, and it's really funny, and I suggest that you check it out because I will not be able to describe it. I will take all humor from it trying to explain why it's funny.
You will
really
think
funny.
he is a far stronger man than he is.
Yeah.
Marvel's not the only one with cosmic ambitions. Green Lantern Corps from Warner's and DC is also in the works. Now that's further away. I believe that's 2020. That's coming up. But there were, nevertheless, the rumor mill. Churning out some stuff.
2020 isn't that far away. Just like we were talking about how Comic-Con is not that far away right now, even though we're, at the end of April. 2020, not that far away.
It really isn't. I mean, I remember initial speculating on, Marvel Phase 2, what could it be? And that felt like yesterday, and now we're into Phase 3. So, but Green Lantern Corps rumor is that it will have 3 Green Lantern protagonists, Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart, and Kyle Rayner, and that Hal Jordan will be older. He'll be like Matt Damon's age.
Yeah, they were like older, like Matt Damon, and I'm like, oh, so still a rugged Hollywood leading man. Okay, perfect. It was funny. Joshua and I did Joshua, our comics editor, and I did a conversation a couple months ago where there was a rumor that Green Lantern would not be in Justice League Part 1, and then he wouldn't be introduced until, actually, I guess we didn't know then if he would be in Justice League Part 2 or not. And he was like a little bit taken aback by that idea.
He was upset.
But the idea of there being 3 Green Lanterns in Green Lantern Corps, I mean, it's obviously, the title suggests that there will be more than one Green Lantern, but it does make me think that we'll get some introduction to what is going on with Green Lantern before that movie, and not have it be an origin movie that happens to have 3 well-known.
I mean, maybe you just see Hal Jordan as a pilot before you ever see him as Green Lantern or something. We're going to talk about a different Marvel property now, whereas some of these other movies are going into space. Obviously Doctor Strange is going into the supernatural realm,
The
into
quantum realm.
the quantum realm, other dimensions. But the casting of Ancient One, as we've talked about before in the show, is still a point of controversy. Tilda Swinton, a white woman playing a character who had been an Asian male in the comics.
If a somewhat racist depiction of an Asian male.
it is, it's an old trope of the wizened, master Asian mentor, and so we've talked many times about how it was kind of a no-win situation for Marvel. You either embrace that trope, stereotype, however you want to call it, and face the backlash over that, or you switch it up and face backlash over that. Now, the one of the writers on the movie, Robert Cargill, who, I don't know if you knew this, he started as a blogger on Ain't It Cool News.
Oh, I did not know that. Well, look at that.
Yeah, but
Geeks taking over
did.
Hollywood.
Well, he did an interview recently, and I forget the outlet that it was, like a podcast or something. But he explained the politics of you cannot, with China being the second biggest market in the world right now. The politics of having a Tibetan character like the Ancient One in a movie that has to play in China, let alone casting, as some people, detractors of the casting, Tilda Swinton suggested, we'll cast an Asian actor or actress as the Ancient One. Cast a Chinese actress or actor. And he's like, that would be even more of a point of controversy then. But
Marvel has since come out with their own statement about Tilda Swinton's casting, which Jim will very dramatically
read an Oscar nomination for.
Oh, no,
I will not do that.
No.
This is not going to happen. Don't worry. Marvel said in a statement this week that was picked up by the New York Times, the Ancient One is.
Do you need me to read it?
I broke my glasses last week, so now I just have these stupid $20 readers that, guess what? I can't read. You read it,
Okay,
Terri.
all right, I got it. Very
This is
dramatically
so
read by Terri Schwartz.
Humiliating.
The Ancient One is a title that is not exclusively held by any one character, but rather a moniker passed down through time. And in this particular film, the embodiment is Celtic. We are very proud to have the enormously talented Tilda Swinton portray this unique and complex character alongside our richly diverse cast.
I want to say, first of all, thank you for saying Celtic, not Celtic, like the basketball team.
Well, we are both from Boston, as Jim
That's
loves
true.
to point out.
We also, I want to point out, somebody you cannot see or hear. He's our new producer behind the camera, Tom, and he's going to be handling
deserves
it.
a shout out
Deserves
because
a
he's
also from New England.
Yeah, he's a New Englander like us.
So he's blowing us kisses.
By the way, you guys, if you are from the greater Boston area, please let Jim know at Jim Vejvoda on Twitter, because it will make his day. He loves Boston. I don't know if you know this about Jim. Let him know. He loves Boston.
There's nothing
You can go watch
that
Batman
we
v
can't.
Boston with
Exactly.
Jim Vejvoda.
So we have some other, obviously, comic book movie news. This week we had the final trailer for X-Men Apocalypse drop. Now,
With an interesting final shot.
Yes, which, look, initially I deemed it spoilerish, but it's out there everywhere, including from Hugh Jackman and Bryan Singer. Yes, Wolverine pops up at the end of the trailer. You see the claws come out. Now, Bryan Singer has since said that all might not be what it seems. So does that mean we're dealing with a Wolverine clone, or are we dealing with... I think
early days of Wolverine.
I think it's going to be Wolverine, but it's the Weapon X program, so that explains how he ends up with his metal claws again. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of Days of Future Past, he had the bone claws, and they were screwing with his origin. And we know Stryker is in
I need
Apocalypse.
to go back and watch all these movies in chronological order.
There is no chronological order. That's the biggest problem with X-Men movies. The timeline, the continuity is screwy.
Yeah.
Even when they
So it could be
rebooted it,
anything.
it didn't change anything. Now
It
it's
could
even
literally
worse.
be anything.
Yeah. But
This new incarnation of Wolverine.
Yeah, he loves show tunes now as much as Hugh Jackman does.
He keeps breaking out into song.
Yeah, he loves the Hamilton
I
soundtrack.
would love that. Oh, man. Sorry, that's like a whole other vice right there.
Do you think, and Joshua and I had a whole conversation about this, but do you think it was necessary to throw that Wolverine shot in the trailer.
It screams of desperation to me.
Yeah.
It screams of, hey, all the things you love are in the movie. Just go see it, please. Look, but like you remember that guy. Like if you didn't get who all these other new characters are because
Right.
they're new faces, at least you'll recognize this.
Right.
Yes and no. Like I feel like am less sensitive to spoilers than some other people are. I don't mind a movie giving me those cues. Barring like the final fight, I don't know how much there necessarily is to spoil about Apocalypse.
Yeah.
I think if they want to promote that Wolverine is in it, that we do have this like massive slate of X-Men, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't, if you can promote Spider-Man in Civil War, then
Right.
you're allowed to promote.
I guess the
Wolverine
flip
here.
side is, BVS trailer giving away Doomsday,
Yeah,
and
the
all
same.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
which
how
triggers
many.
in the audience. If you know that story, then you can figure out where that story was going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many surprises there are going to be in X-Men Apocalypse, and I don't know if it is a movie that is meant to have
Yeah.
surprises. But we'll see. I'm not especially like chomping at the bit to go see that movie. I'm really excited to see what they'll do with it, but I
Right.
do feel like I have a general sense of everything that I'm going to be getting. And
Yeah, I feel like I've seen so much of that movie now. Now, speaking about X-Men Apocalypse and seeing so much from the movie, we got some news today that 20th Century Fox is sitting out this year's San Diego Comic-Con. Last year, they were there with X-Men Apocalypse. They had Hugh Jackman come out and do a wave. It was a great presentation, but the footage leaked online. Now, if you guys haven't been to San Diego Comic-Con, there's a giant auditorium called Hall H.
it's like,
And
what, 7,000 people?
something like that. I swear the number goes up an extra 1,000 every year you hear, but thousands of people. Yes, there are security people there. You were told 100 times, don't, turn off your cameras and laptops. Don't record the footage.
And the big thing about the big movie Hall H presentations is you are camping. You have to camp outside basically overnight to get into these at this point because they're so just so fan driven and there's this promise of exclusive footage when you get in, something you will only see at Comic-Con, and that's why you want to wait. But because of the changing times and because everyone has a cell phone with a great camera now, what Jim is saying, there's so many people there, it's all but impossible to stop someone from taking a video of the footage and then posting it on the internet.
Which is piracy. You're
it's
committing
flat out
a
piracy,
crime if
and
you
it's
do
happened.
that.
It's happened across the board with pretty much every studio.
It happened
that's
last
been
year
there.
with Suicide Squad too, and Warner Brothers' response to what we talked on the podcast at the time about, did they react appropriately to that? Should they
They sent
seemed
out a
very
really
upset.
like snippy,
Yeah.
upset response, which I think is fair. And people kept comparing it to how Marvel responded not too long before when the Age of Ultron trailer had leaked,
Yeah,
and they
with
just
the
said,
Hellhead.
they said, "Damn it, Hydra."
Yeah, but what they don't, what fans don't remember is Marvel Legal went after all the people that were
posted
tied
it.
to that thing.
I mean,
So
piracy is an
it's-
ongoing issue, especially with movies, and so the whole argument that Fox had is, because of concerns about piracy, we aren't going to be delivering an exclusive event to the people who are here because this stuff is going to leak that's cut specifically for Comic-Con, and so they aren't doing anything. Which
The
still
only
is a
thing that
little
they're doing
strange.
there is a small panel for Trolls, which is technically a DreamWorks animation release, and they're handling the distribution of their films for the time being. We get more on them in a little bit. However, my question to you and to the viewers and listeners, with Disney also possibly sitting out Comic-Con, according to The Wrap, who first reported this whole story, Disney has Star Wars Celebration coming up. They have D23 Expo next year. They have other shows that they can tout their
Fox
stuff to.
doesn't have that.
Fox
And Fox
doesn't
has
have
like a huge slate of movies that they could be promoting,
Including
Assassin's
Assassin's
Creed
Creed,
being the biggest among them.
Yeah.
And this seemingly being the biggest audience they could reach people at. I mean, I
Yeah.
wonder if they're going to do something at E3 at this point now,
I bet you they probably will.
which is about a month before, as I'm sure many of you know.
I bet you they probably will, and that way they can, if anything happens, maybe they shift the onus to Ubisoft or something. But my question is, with Disney possibly sitting this out, with Fox definitely sitting it out, does that mean Warner Brothers, with their big superhero slate, and a lot of people are wondering this and speculating on it, does that mean, has Warner Brothers already essentially won Comic-Con with their DC stuff without even showing up yet?
Here's the question, though. Like, what if they decide to tamp down on what they're doing because
They would
of
be
that
damn
big,
fools.
Yeah, they would be damn fools because they might not really have any competition, even if their stuff does leak, which again, it almost inevitably will leak.
Well, hopefully they learn from last year and just have the thing ready to go online.
Right, which is also, I think, sort of part of the problem. You get less of an amazing exclusive experience. Like, I remember when Avatar was there the first time, and it was, like there was 3D glasses,
Yeah,
which at the time,
I
like
was
you
in
never,
there.
you never had 3D
We didn't
glasses.
even know each other
We
then.
didn't even know each other then, but it was like 13 minutes or something
Yeah.
of Avatar, and it was the first anyone had seen of Avatar after
Yeah.
James Cameron basically did what he did now and like went into a hole and made this movie for almost a decade. Imagine doing that now, like it would all leak, and I don't think that necessarily much, if any of that, did make its way online. It's sort of a shame, and I think part of a trend of movies not having the same impact at Comic-Con that they used to, and I think it is the rise of just cell phones and cameras and leaking stuff in that way.
But I think that Warner Brothers I think they have to go because of the response to BVS being so divided.
Yeah, you really
to
need to
negative.
sell stuff.
And Suicide Squad opens the following month. Even if they could, even if the movie is ready, do early fan screenings of Suicide Squad. They could do the Harley's tattoo parlor thing again. And you want your Justice League to come out on stage together.
Yeah, you wanted them to assemble the Justice League, and I was really surprised that they didn't do that last year, actually.
Yeah. They did the concept art thing, but now that we've seen them in action, and they're filming the movie, and they're going to have Wonder Woman footage that can be shown.
Right.
I
think that they should definitely lean into this and see this as an opportunity. The other two big studios that could do something interesting, Paramount. Paramount has this whole Transformers universe they're building up. This is a great chance to show that off, and also they have like the G.I. Joe expanded Hasbro universe that they announced.
Space Night, man, I can't wait for that.
So there's like a lot of really cool stuff there, and then Universal also has a chance to do some interesting stuff. Sony is there too.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see
we'll
any
see if
Sony
Sony goes. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't think that
they've
they
sat
will.
it out before, but I think, ultimately,
It might be some Screen Gem stuff, but I don't think much Sony proper.
I think though that Warner Brothers will essentially be the big game there. They're going to be the talking point, and you do want to get as a fan experience. And with Marvel not there, because Marvel used to
That we're
close
assuming.
that panel at Comic-Con, and that was the final conversation was about Marvel. If Disney sits it out and they don't go, and there's nothing Marvel there, Marvel movie was, I'm sure TV will have a presence, then it's Warner Brothers to lose, and that would be a shame. Maybe we'll get some news about, more DC movies, maybe they'll, something about Batman or Shazam or whatever, but it'll be interesting to see. Maybe we'll find out who's playing Hal Jordan.
Yes.
Maybe it is Matt Damon.
Maybe it is Matt
Maybe
Damon.
they're not just looking for a 40-something like Matt Damon. Maybe they're looking at you, Matt Damon.
Do you think that Ben Affleck has that in his contract? He's like, listen, I just gotta make
My
one of these
soulmate
movies.
better be in this thing or I'm out, Well, we want to know from you guys, do you think Warner Brothers basically, do they have Comic-Con now in the bag with all their DC movie stuff? Is it still a big gamble for them? Let us know in the comments. Let me move on from that business.
Big talking point.
Let's talk about Rogue One,
Let's
a Star
talk
Wars
about
story.
Rogue One.
Mads Mikkelsen, flapping them lips, spilling
Letting
some stuff.
it slip or letting it slip? Do you think
Oh.
that did you watch that video?
Well, let's just say, let's give you a little spoiler heads up, I guess. He said it's out there now, but Mads Mikkelsen said he's playing Jen Erso's father, who is the Felicity Jones, the main character of Rogue One.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I was sort of like, okay.
Yeah.
I want his character to have a big, interesting role because he is a really interesting actor.
Yeah.
Hearing, this person's father makes me think the role might be
Yeah.
somewhat minimal. which is a bummer. I'm so biased.
He just shows up to bail her out every now
Yeah,
and then.
like I don't know. I want him to. You were saying were like rumors that he was maybe like the creator of the Death Star.
Yeah,
or
that
the
he was this sort of
architect
like
behind it.
Oppenheimer type.
Yeah, which like maybe that's her connection to it somehow.
And that's why
she
she
was
rebels, is because she doesn't like what her father
Yeah,
stands
lots
for.
of daddy issues in Star Wars. Don't know
That
if you
kind
guys
of
see.
makes sense.
That
you know?
actually would be strangely fitting.
It would be, yeah.
Now it's like lady
And it's
daddy
blown
issues
up by,
instead of
a guy with daddy issues.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. It all comes full circle with the Death Star.
It's all about the daddy there in Star Wars.
But do you think, I mean, there was this interview that Mads did with Sky News in which he says, and I'm her father. Oh no, I've said too much.
Yeah.
I don't
Do you
know.
think he was lying?
No,
Do you think
well,
he really is playing her?
I just think that it might have been an intentional slip of the tongue.
Well, now he's going to get an intentional slap in the damn hand for that from Disney and Lucasfilm. We also found out that Oscar winner Alicia Vikander,
This is not Star Wars related news.
Not Star Wars.
Just other exciting news.
but she does remind me a little bit of Felicity Jones.
A little bit, I can see that.
She has been cast as Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider reboot. She's the star of Ex Machina. You guys would know her from that. And then, of course, all you Danish girl fanboys out there. So, you know her from that. She got her Best Supporting Actress Oscar this year. So what do you think about her as Lara Croft?
Well, you know this
She's
because
Swedish, not English, by the way.
you saw this thought process become verbalized when we were talking about it earlier. My mind immediately went to, okay, Lara Croft, Assassin's Creed crossover, just so we can have Alicia Vikander and her boyfriend Michael Fassbender in a movie together.
There's
Probably
going to be
not,
some sick fanfic being written
yeah,
about
probably
those
not
scenes.
the right first reaction to have to that, but it was mine. No, I think that she's a really good fit for it. People were talking about Daisy Ridley potentially being up for the role. I think after
We
Ex
were talking
Machina
about it,
and and the Danish Girl and Tempest of Youth and the other films that she's been in.
That totally indicate, Lara Croft.
Well,
Although
they
Man from U.N.C.L.E., actually, if you want to get a sense of that kind of thing, that's, I can't believe I'm actually recommending somebody go see Man from U.N.C.L.E. I thought it was pretty boring, but if you want to get a sense of
Her as
maybe
an
what she
action
would be
hero.
like as Lara Croft, watch that one.
I just think that she is sold that she has incredible range, and if someone
Yeah.
can do something interesting and well-rounded and humanized with the character of Lara Croft, which is what it's supposed to be more inspired by the new Square Enix games.
Right.
I think that she is the right person for it. I think she's a very, very talented actress.
Oh, she
and
is, yeah.
That really sells me. A sort of similar to how bringing Michael Fassbender on Assassin's Creed sort of gave it a leg
Yeah.
up and said, this might be,
Legitimizes it, yeah.
it might be a stronger, more artistic film.
You realize that's 2 Oscar winners in a row to play Lara Croft?
There you go.
You're not playing Lara Croft without
Listen,
that Oscar gold. They
we
both
only-
had their Oscars before they played
We only have so many like big female video game heroines to work with.
True.
You got to get some good talent behind those
Exactly.
people.
Now,
When Zelda gets cast, it's going to be Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
We're going to get all the good stuff.
there'll be Jessica Chastain.
Yeah.
Although she doesn't have her Oscar yet,
Yeah.
but she will.
Yeah.
Oh no, that means Anne Hathaway. Okay, all right. So let's move on. We mentioned Universal a little earlier and DreamWorks.
They won't be bringing Huntsman 3 to Comic-Con. That's
Huntsman
for sure.
Winter's War flopped last weekend. It was like
flopped
20-something
so
million.
hard.
And it was like $100-something million movie. So
It's like those slow-mo gifs of like cute dogs, like puppies, like running, but then like slipping in midair and just totally
missing the
wiping
couch,
out.
like
Yeah.
pretty much everything I
Yeah.
post on Facebook. You're
Yeah,
saying?
pretty much exactly what Jim posts on Facebook.
I'm all into the cute animal video things that I share. But Huntsman Winter's War could stand to lose reportedly up to $70 million for Universal. Ouch, one. Two, that's the third big money losing flop in a row for Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Goldman and I kind of talked about this last week. What do you think he needs to do to get that career mojo back? I mean, yes, the Thor movies
Honestly,
are
doing something
successful,
like
but
what he's doing in Ghostbusters might help him.
Yeah.
We'll see if that movie is a success. But I think if people aren't biting at him being this big action star that can be like a great, reason to come to the movies, poke some fun with it. Like, do what Jason Statham did in Spy
Yeah.
and have a little bit of fun with your persona. Like, Chris Hemsworth seems like a good, like, funny guy, and I'm
Like
very,
that video you talked about.
yeah,
earlier.
and I'm very interested to see. I mean, they've been leaning into. They did like a funny, like a meme with him. Like Sony sent
Didn't
out.
really
to
work
people.
though with Vacation. They did
didn't-
try that with that, but
it's
there was a
true,
lot
yeah.
more. He wasn't the problem with it. It was
Maybe
that
he. I
movie
mean,
was-
Colin Farrell is another person who they kept trying to make work in these movies and didn't. And maybe Chris Hemsworth just isn't meant to be a big A-list.
So what
action
you're saying,
star.
True Detective season 3, Chris Hemsworth?
Listen, Colin Farrell has much better stuff to work with than True Detective. But I do think, he's going to have the Marvel movies for a while. Thor is a major Avenger, one of the flagship franchises there. He's going to have that, but maybe he just takes a break with the other stuff and makes some smaller movies that really sell him as like being a strong actor, not a physically strong actor, but a strong talent-wise actor.
A thespian.
Yes.
So NBC Universal, even though they're stand to lose
Still
up
have
to
all that
$70
Jurassic
million,
World money.
they got enough to shell out $3.8 billion for DreamWorks Animation. That was officially announced today. And I think if you read kind of into what the CEO of NBC Universal said, this adds a lot to their theme parks with all those characters. Now, some of them were already showing up. I think Shrek is already at Universal Studios, but this is Eric Goldman, who is kind of our theme park connoisseur.
Yes.
But he was saying, in a way, it's really not going to be any different because Universal has Illumination, the folks who did like they have Secret Life of Pets, and they did Despicable Me and Minions. So that could be like their Pixar to like DWA's Disney animation.
Yeah.
So there is a precedent there for two major animation forces kind of being under the same roof and turning out, equally, comparable. I guess equally family friendly, but different style of product.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see sort of, 'cause for a long time I was just like, wow, how is DreamWorks Animation still like
Chugging
and
along.
in there? I mean, every now and then they'll put out one of those Kung Fu Panda movies that blow
Right.
up everywhere.
It is sort of funny that it won't affect the Universal theme parks at all, though, because they do have Shrek and Despicable Me rides already. So expect more of that, I guess.
I guess why was I surprised then that Universal ended up buying them? Now let's talk about what's opening up this week. We have Ratchet and Clank, the movie, our review. By the time you see this, it will be too late. Our review will be up. And it's not getting a very positive review from IGN.
No.
Yeah.
I've not seen it yet, or
neither
a review,
have I.
so I'll be watching it with
No,
everyone else.
and you know what? I probably will just watch it on a plane or on Netflix. I hate to, like people to go to the movies to see a movie, but
Sometimes you just need a good plane movie.
but you know what you should go to the
It will
movies to go
probably
see?
make you cry, though, because did you know that apparently you're more likely to cry on a plane? I don't know if it's the atmosphere, whatever.
I think it's the pressure on my sinuses.
Yeah, so maybe that'll be the one time Ratchet and Clank makes you cry.
Who knows?
But what you should go see this weekend.
Is what we saw last night. Why don't you tell the folks? I reviewed it, so kick it off and tell the people what they should go see this weekend. Tell them what they want.
Meow.
The
That
Key and
cat was
Peele.
so cute.
It's
Like
the
the biggest
cutest
problem
damn
with that
cat.
movie is the cat isn't in every scene.
Yeah.
Like there are chunks of the movie where they are trying to find the cat, that the cat is not there, and it was a big problem for me because like Jim and I went to that together and sat next to each other, and I was just like making keening noises, like like this cat is so cute.
It really is. It was my second time seeing it, and he's ridiculously
It's
cute.
like it's a really fun movie. It is an extended Key and Peele sketch with like slightly more of a plot than what the normal sketches would have, which actually did condense a good amount of plot into a few minutes. because of that, and like I said, like the cat just like makes the movie every time, every scene it's in, and you get the joke. Then sometimes you lose the joke a little bit at these larger stretches when they're going through the motions to try and get the cat back. But you know, the cameos in it are really fun. The supporting cast is really great, and then like, if you like Key and Peele, if you like their dynamic and think they're funny, you're going to think this movie is funny. They wrote it. Their chemistry is hilarious. They go on these tangents about, you know, their Liam Neeson's references and all that good stuff. So I had such a blast, and I'm probably going to go back and see it again this week.
It was my second time seeing it. I reviewed it for us. I liked it a lot. The cut that I saw was for South by Southwest, and they have since trimmed the movie. But it was definitely shorter, but there was nothing, like, it was a really smart kind of judicious excising of stuff from the movie, because nothing seemed to be missing, but I knew it was shorter, I felt shorter. And when I talked to people afterwards, they confirmed that, after South by, they went back and cut it down, like some jokes here and there were taken out. But it was a good job, because I didn't feel like anything about the movie that I reviewed that I liked was ruined, you know?
Right.
And it was.
They did add one big extra thing that I won't spoil here, but is out there if you were to go search for it. That late edition, and the story behind how that late edition came to be is just like so perfect and so fitting for this movie.
We definitely want you guys to go see Keanu.
And also go adopt a cat or any pet, because that is really awesome. I have 2 pets that I adopted. I think it's really important. There are a lot of animals out there that need a loving home. Actually, recently, LA which is where we're based, is very close to being like just a completely adoption-friendly city. You are no longer allowed to have puppy mills in LA. If you're going to sell pets, they need to be rescue animals, which makes me really happy. So that's my little PSA. Adopt animals. They're the best.
We also rescue freelancers.
Yeah, we do that too. We have our own limit. We also have a puppy mill for freelancers.
That's true. That's San Francisco. But no, I'm kidding. I kid them.
No. I go back to cute animals.
Now, you know what else is opening up this weekend, but not here in America? Captain America Civil War.
Oh, that little that indie. Do you think it's going to perform well?
I think it's going to struggle to crack
to find its audience, to really like establish
it's this year's
a base.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
It's tracking at about $200 million this weekend internationally.
And it had a pretty big first day.
It was like 15 million or 16, something like that. And then, it'll probably do another 200 million just from the States next weekend. Now, we've both seen the movie. Joshua Yale has seen it. Scott Kalura has seen it. Eric Goldman has not seen it.
Yeah, we have not spoiled it for him.
Tom has not seen it.
Yes.
But tomorrow, Friday, when this podcast is finally live. I'm sorry, the show.
Yes.
Is finally live. We will be doing a IGN live
on Facebook.
On Facebook.
Spoiler-free conversation.
Spoiler-free conversation about Captain America: Civil War. What time is that tomorrow? Like noon.
Noon Pacific. So.
It
may have already happened, or you might be watching this when it's happening.
We'll
but
see if we can get this up earlier.
It will live on IGN Facebook, so if you want to go back and watch it after the fact, we will be giving spoiler-free thoughts.
Spoiler-free thing. Good,
yes.
good save. Good save, Terri.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm the Spider-Man in this situation.
Well, that'll about do it for this week's show. You can find all of IGN's content, video content, on our different apps. Like we have PS4, we have Xbox, we have Roku.
Yeah.
We have everything. We're mobile. We're
everywhere. We're in the cloud.
You throw a stone, you hit IGN. Yeah. Pretty much.
That's going to be our new tagline. You are keeping it here. You throw a stone and you'll be at IGN.
But send us your feedback at keepititreal@ign.com. Next week, we are going to talk spoilers about Captain America Civil War, so just a heads up about that. Superhero Show, our colleagues across the pond. This weekend's episode of the Superhero Show will be a spoiler cast on Captain America Civil War. So if you've seen Civil War, or you don't care about spoilers, I can't imagine why you wouldn't. But
Terri Schwartz is out there. We'll go and listen to that early and just
go watch Superhero Show then if you've seen it and you want to hear their thoughts about what they thought worked and didn't work about the film. But next week we'll be doing that here on Keeping It Real. Until then, for all things movies, keep it here on IGN.